Hi everybody, it's Robin from Barn Hunt. This is the second in a series of videos on how to create course maps using Illustrator. First video went over how to create these grids and guide boxes, so if you have not yet viewed that one, do that one first. Now here we are where we left off at the first video, and I'll have to tell you one of the things that I did not do at the very end of the first video that I should have was save my document. So in this case, I'm just going to hit Control S and I'm going to save my document. So we're all saved and ready to go. We've got our layer over here called Guides, and it is locked. And what that basically means is if I tried to draw anything on it, I'll go over here and click. It won't let me draw anything. It's got this little no circle on it that I can't draw anything. But that's okay. I don't want to draw anything on that layer. I want to create a new layer. So I'm going to click down here. I'm going to create a new layer. To change these names, by the way, be sure that you double click right in the word. So I'm going to double click in layer 2. I'm going to call this outer box. All right. And then just click anywhere here to deselect that. And I'm going to do exactly what I want. This is going to be my overall outer shape of my course. Just before I draw that, let's explain a little bit about this grid. So, we made this grid earlier, and it's pretty detailed. But what I want you to think about is, it's kind of hard to see on this. Be sure that you're viewing this full screen and at high resolution. This is a number 1. This is my 1-inch mark. The way we set out this grid, it actually corresponds to every inch corresponds to 4 feet. So this is 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet here at the 2-inch mark. So if we want to do a 24 by 24 master course, which is what these video tutorials are going to be based on, then we want a box that is 6 inches by 6 inches, which would be the equivalent to 24 feet by 24 feet. So I'm going to double click on my hand here to get back to my main size. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on the rectangle tool. Okay, and all I have to do is once I've clicked on that, I'm going to bring my cursor over here to where my grid lines intersected at 1 by 1. Just going to click once. I get a dialog box here. How big do you want your rectangle? In this case, I want it to be a square, not a rectangle, but I'm going to do 6 in, and then I'm going to hit the tab. I'm going to do 6 in. I'm just going to hit OK. And what do you know? There's a box on the screen that is 6 inches by 6 inches. In this case, I have that there is, if you look up here, this is my fill and stroke. Stroke is an outline. So my fill is 9, and my stroke is light green. I don't really like that color as my stroke for this. I want it something bright, at least for now, so that I can see it. I might change the color later. Now I'm going to make it this hot pink. So I'm going to make my stroke the hot pink. Still kind of hard to see here, though. So I'm going to bring it up to about, let's do about 3 points for this. What I did here, this stroke dialog box, you can click the up or down arrow. Often I instead do this down arrow here and just look at this dialog and click 3 points. Now you can really see this. I'm going to click back on my black arrow and then deselect this. And just so that you can see what this looks like without the grid, there it is. But we need our grid back. I am going to say, please show me my grid. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm going to create another layer. Actually, I'm going to have a total of 3 layers for this. No, 4 layers for this box. So I'm going to create another layer. I've done my outer box. I'm going to create a new layer. For this layer, I'm going to put 4 foot grid. I'm going to hit the return key to select that. Now, this is our next tool. if you open Illustrator, it probably won't actually be open on this rectangular grid tool that I have open right now. It will probably open, I'm going to hold this down until it flies out. There's a little tiny little triangle over here. Probably open with this line segment tool open. That's the default. But you can click on this line segment tool, this little teeny little triangle at the bottom right, click and hold, and you want to select this rectangular grid tool. So it is a really cool thing. I'm going to click right here in this left corner, and my rectangular tool comes back. It says this is a 6" by 6" grid. How many dividers do I want? You know, actually in this case I want 5 and 5. I'm going to say okay. That gives me a tool every 4 feet relatively on my grid, and I don't want it pink. I want it, well, actually it can be pink, but I'm going to bring it down to 2 points. So if we look at it, oops, sorry, cancel. So there it is. There's your every 4-foot grid, which is nice and everything, but we can go way beyond that. I'm going to hide this. And actually, I'm not even sure that we need to look at our grid right now, so I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to click on yet a new layer. Okay, layer 4 is going to be 1-foot grid. So don't click on that. I'm going to click on my grid selection tool. I'm going to pull him right out here. Ta-da! And this time I want 23, and I want 23. I'm going to say okay. This is the actual number of dividers, and that's why if you've got 24-foot grid, you want 23. And oops, that looks really good. But now I need a different color. So for this, I am going to do, let's do it blue for now. And I also want it a little bit smaller. I'm going to put it at 1 point. Okay, let's click off of it and see what you get. Now we have a grid with a mark every foot. I'm going to actually take this layer. I'm going to drag it, just hold and drag until it sits right there. Actually, I'm going to drag it till it sits at the very bottom of this. So I'm going to take my outer box, I'm going to drag it to the top. There, that looks a little bit better. Now we can do one more. And in this case, let me just take this layer. I'm going to lock this layer. I'm going to take my guides layer, and I'm going to click a new layer from that. One more time, we're going to do this particular trick. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click right here. This time I want 47 and 47. I'm going to say okay. And on my stroke color for this, I wanted a different color. I'm going to make this a medium gray. About like so. And then I'm going to say that I want it to be a little bit smaller, probably about a half a point. And click. Now, look at what we've got. I now have, in just a very few keystrokes, a grid that has marks for every 4 feet, every 1 foot, and every 6 inches. That took so little time, and here's your grid, and it is accurate. Now that I have all of this, I am actually going to do one last thing before we finish this particular piece of our tutorial. I'm going to unlock all of these. I'm going to wait, I didn't name this one. I need to name this one. This is our 6-inch grid. Okay. So I've got 6-inch grid below the 1 foot, below the 4 foot, below the outer box. I'm going to click, click, click. I am holding down my shift key while I click all 4 of these. That selects all of these layers. And then I'm going to go over here to this dialog box. See the little down arrow right there? I'm going to click. And I am going to collect these in a new layer. Okay. I'm going to call this grid. Now that I've gotten this all neatened up, the nice thing about this, if you see this arrow, I can click on this and it becomes a down arrow. All of these layers are still here, but I can lock them individually and view them individually. So I can turn pieces on and off individually, but it's also one group. So I can go up here and lock this, and it automatically locks everything and makes everything nice and neat. So here we are, we've got our grid started. I will talk to you soon with a new video.